In just a single lifetime, one army killed somewhere between 30 and 40 million people. That is not a typo. Up to 1 in every 10 human beings alive on Earth at the time. They erased entire cities from the map, built pyramids out of human skulls, and left so much farmland in ruins that the planet's population actually dropped. They were the Mongols. So how did a band of nomads from the empty grasslands become the deadliest war machine in all of human history? Let's break it down. It all started on the cold open steppe of Mongolia, a harsh land of scattered tribes who spent their entire lives on horseback, herding animals and raiding one another. Then one man united them all. Genghis Khan welded these warring clans into a single ruthless nation with one shared purpose: conquest. And what made them so terrifying was not magic or luck. It was a stack of brutal advantages that no enemy on Earth could match. First, the horses. Every Mongol practically grew up in the saddle, learning to ride before they could properly walk. On campaign, each warrior brought 3, 4, even 5 horses with him, switching to a fresh mount the moment one grew tired. This meant a Mongol army could cover up to 100 miles in a single day, appearing out of nowhere, hundreds of miles from where they had last been seen. Enemies who believed they had weeks to prepare suddenly found the Mongols already at their gates. Second, the weapon. The Mongol composite bow, built from layers of wood, horn, and sinew, was small enough to fire from horseback, yet powerful enough to punch straight through armor at 200 meters. And the Mongols could shoot it at a full gallop, even twisting their bodies around to fire backwards as they pretended to flee. A single horseman could loose arrow after arrow without ever slowing down. Imagine a storm of arrows raining down on you before the enemy was even close enough to touch. Third, the trickery. Their favorite tactic was the feigned retreat. The Mongols would charge, then suddenly turn and gallop away, as if they were broken and panicking. The enemy, smelling an easy victory, would break their careful formation and chase, riding straight into a trap. Once the pursuers were strung out and exhausted, the Mongols would wheel around and cut them to pieces, while hidden riders swept in from both sides. Entire armies were destroyed this way, chasing a victory that had never been real. Fourth, the discipline. The Mongol army was organized with terrifying precision, divided neatly into units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000 men. Every single warrior knew exactly his place. They signaled across the chaos of battle with flags and flaming arrows, maneuvering like one single living creature. And promotion came from skill, not from noble birth, so the very best fighters rose to command. This was, in many ways, the most professional army anywhere on Earth. But raw skill only explains the battles. To understand the staggering death toll, you have to understand their deadliest weapon of all terror. The Mongols made the rules brutally simple. Open your gates and surrender, and you would mostly be spared. Resist them, and every living thing inside your walls would be destroyed. This was not mindless rage, it was cold, deliberate strategy. By wiping one defiant city off the map completely, they convinced 10 other cities to surrender without a single fight. And when they did choose to make an example, the scale is almost impossible to imagine. When the city of Nishapur resisted and a beloved Mongol commander was killed by its defenders, the army was said to have destroyed every man, woman, and child inside, and even the cats and the dogs. They stacked the skulls of the dead into great pyramids as a warning to anyone who might think of resisting. At cities like Merv and Urgench, the death tolls were so high that writers of the time claimed more than 1 million dead at each. Numbers so vast they may never be fully believed or fully dismissed. Now, nomads on horseback should have been helpless against high stone walls, but the Mongols did something clever. They simply stole the knowledge of everyone they conquered. They recruited Chinese and Persian engineers and dragged their war machines along with them, giant catapults and trebuchets that hurled boulders and pots of fire over the walls. They even diverted entire rivers to flood cities into submission. In the year 1258, they shattered Baghdad, the dazzling jewel of the Islamic world, and the destruction there helped end a golden age of learning forever. They were also absolute masters of fear itself. The Mongols deliberately spread terrifying rumors, exaggerating their own numbers until cities surrendered out of pure dread. They drove captured prisoners ahead of their army as human shields, forcing them to fill the moats and soak up the first volley of arrows. At night, they lit far more campfires than they needed, just to look like a vast, endless host. Half of their victories were won inside the enemy's mind, long before the first arrow ever flew. And they could keep this up almost forever, because the Mongols needed almost no supplies at all. They lived off their herds and off the land, drinking mare's milk and even the blood of their own horses on the longest rides. They carried dried meat and curds that needed no cooking and no fire. While rival armies starved waiting for their supply wagons, the Mongols simply kept moving, kept hunting, and kept killing. There was no slow baggage train to raid, no easy weakness for an enemy to exploit. But here's the part most people miss entirely. The swords and the arrows were not even the biggest killers. When the Mongols destroyed a region, they often smashed its irrigation systems, the canals and the underground channels that fed the farmland in dry places like Persia. Without water, the fields turned to dust, the crops failed, and famine swept across the whole land. Far more people slowly starved to death in the ruins than were ever cut down in any battle. The Mongols did not just kill people, they killed the very land that kept those people alive. And in one final, horrifying twist, the Mongols may have unleashed the deadliest killer of them all. During the siege of the city of Kaffa, plague broke out inside the Mongol camp. So they loaded the diseased corpses of their own dead onto catapults and flung them over the city walls. Traders who later fled that city are believed to have carried the infection home with them, helping to spark the Black Death, the plague that would go on to kill tens of millions more across Europe and Asia. The Mongols had turned disease itself into a weapon of war. So how did the Mongols kill so many people? Not with one single secret, but with all of them at once. Speed, the bow, discipline, terror, siege engines, starvation, and even plague, all layered together into the most efficient machine of destruction the world had ever seen. At its peak, their empire stretched from the shores of Korea all the way to the gates of Europe, the largest connected land empire in all of history, built upon a foundation of bones. They remain a chilling reminder of just how much a single determined people can change the entire world, for better and for unimaginably worse. Like this video if it taught you something new, and stay curious.